one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tiger pride is what you'll see. Respectful, responsible, ready I'll be. Failure is not an option. Excellence is our choice. Have a great day.
It doesn't get much better than that, does it? If you've got a child, maybe a whole house full of them, that would like to get together and do the pledge for us, we sure would like to have them on. This is the phone number, 270-963-9155. And all you got to do is leave us a message. And if that's you that wants to leave a positive message, if that's your child that wants to leave the pledge, either way, we absolutely welcome all of it. 270-963-9155. And I've got somebody on the phone that knows that little girl this morning. Mr. Sims?
Good morning. How are you?
Do you know that pretty little thing?
I do. I've been blessed to spend a lot of time with her here lately.
I'll tell you what, she's adorable. Of course, this morning we've got Magistrate Jeff Sims, and we have Judge Executive Mr. Larry Curlin. How are you?
Good morning, Tess. Doing good.
Bless your heart. I'll tell you, it is a gorgeous day. I don't know if you got to see the sunrise this morning, but it was beautiful.
I get up early enough. I see it every morning. I'm usually up by 4.
Well, it's dark at that point, but I'm up too, and I think, you know what? I really do kind of miss it when I don't get to see this. It used to make me grumpy, but now I've kind of tried to enjoy the little things like that. I think it can really change our mood.
I totally agree. And thank you for having me this morning. I just wanted to say a few things. I wanted to talk to everybody in Caldwell County about what's going on in the county and probably going on everywhere in the world, COVID-19. So if I can take a few minutes of your time.
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Okay. Of course, the past few weeks, we have done nothing but had meetings, conference calls, webinars, and I've talked to a whole lot of health officials. I can tell you we're in a preventive mode, and one thing I can tell you is everyone is working together. Decisions are being made. I know that will upset some people, and I totally understand. But I promise you these decisions are being made for the best interest of the county. So far, Caldwell County has 3 confirmed cases. The first was last Tuesday. It was a 58-year-old female. Thursday, we had 2 more cases. We had a 60-year-old male and a 19-year-old female. One is hospitalized, and the other 2 are self-quarantined. Now, our confirmations come from the regional health department, so sometimes there's lag time in reporting. We have a lot of private companies now that are testing, which is good, but we don't report any cases until it is reported and confirmed by our regional health department, okay? I know sometimes things get on Facebook and we don't report them, and people say, well, we're not hiding anything. We just don't report anything until we get confirmation from the regional health department. If you look around other counties, I think the last I heard, Lyon County had 5 cases. Crittenden had 1. I think Trigg has 1. Christian County has near 50 now. Hopkins County has over 50, and they've had a couple of deaths. I know a couple of weeks ago, I think it was March 17th, I did declare a state of emergency. And, of course, this allows for better coordination between our state and local officials. It also allows us to get funding from such places as FEMA. I think the last time Caldwell was in a state of emergency was during an ice storm, so it's not done very lightly or very often. You know, this virus has transformed about everybody's lives. Most everything is closed. People have lost their jobs, and some have been laid off, and there will be some places go out of business. And, of course, a lot of us are going stir crazy by staying home. My wife is one of these people. She talks about it all the time. She gets out 3 times a day and walks for 30 minutes up to the cemetery. But I want to say this is a very crucial time for our community. The medical experts tell us that this virus spreads easier than the flu, can be more serious than the flu. For a lot of us, especially our older citizens and those with health problems, just about all the deaths in Kentucky, and I think there's been 45 so far that I counted. About every one of them have been people with other health problems. So if you are older and have other health problems such as heart disease, diabetes, or lung problems, you should be very careful. If you don't have to get out, don't. Stay home. It's not worth it. If you do, make sure you stay 6 feet from others. I know people have heard that word over and over, but everybody you talk to, it's very important. You know, we've been told what the key is stopping the spread of this virus. You know, wash your hands regularly. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue or your elbow when you sneeze or cough. And, of course, social distancing, staying 6 feet apart. This is especially important when you go to the big places like Food Giant, Rulers, and, of course, Walmart. If you see it on the signs everywhere. Some of our local businesses have ever put it. Try Shoes has it on their sign. Goodwin Insurance, the Extension Office, the school sign at the Buck Building. And we've got a big banner in front of the courthouse that says, stay 6 feet apart. This weekend, when my wife and I drove by the courthouse, she kind of rolled her eyes at me and said, well, do you think people don't know that yet? And I just said, I just want to make sure. It may be going overboard, but I want to make sure everybody knows to stay 6 feet from others. Keep that 6 foot bubble. The health experts keep stressing this. I never heard of social distancing in my life until this year. If you had asked me last year what it meant, I didn't have an idea. Okay, the stores that remain open are doing enough. Well, they're doing what they can to protect their customers, but it's up to you. They can't control your actions. When you go in some of the large stores such as Rulers, Food Giant, and Walmart, keep your 6 foot bubble. Everyone needs to get groceries. My wife and I will not go to the store. If we need something, we order ahead and pick it up. You can get your groceries without stepping a foot in the store. If you go inside and somebody tries to approach you, politely ask them to keep their distance. Go by yourself, one family member. Shopping can't be a family outing for a while. If you're a single parent with young children, I understand. You need to take them with you, but keep them with you in the immediate area. But if you're not, like my wife and I, you should go by yourself or order online or call ahead. This will help protect you and your family. I know Food Giant has a policy of one shopper per cart. That's a smart idea. Most businesses will order closed, but these supermarkets are considered essential for a good reason. But they aren't the safest place to go right now. If you make the decision to go, use hand sanitizer. You won't realize when you touch something and you touch your face and you transfer that virus. Inspect food by looking at it. Don't pick it up and put it back. Only pick up things you plan to buy. Stay away from those busy aisles, making sure you keep that 6 foot bubble from everybody. The average shopping cart is 3 foot long, so keep 2 shopping carts away from others. Go only when it's essential and buy what you need for at least a week. This will help prevent making unnecessary trips. The best way to get your groceries is to order ahead and pick them up without ever stepping one step in the store. Convenient and safe access to food is essential and more critical than ever at this uncertain time. Kentucky is adopting on a volunteer basis a new guidance from the CDC recommending that people wear cloth masks in some situations. But cloth masks do not stop the need for you to stay 6 foot apart. You should continue to do that, and doing both is great. We've got to continue, everyone, to fight against the spread of this virus by social distancing, washing your hands, only getting out when necessary, and have compassion for the patients, their families, and all the healthcare workers, the first responders. It is already in every county. Kentucky's done a pretty good job so far. Compared to other surrounding states, I think the last I heard, Tennessee had around 3,400 cases. Indiana had around 4,000. Missouri around 2,300. Illinois is over 10,000 cases. Of course, Chicago has over 4,000 of those. Last I heard, Kentucky had 955 confirmed cases. Of course, this is changing daily, but this state is doing better than the others because the governor acted early. He jumped on it, took quick action, and it made a difference. I have a daughter that works at a hospital in Louisville and the other at a hospital in Nashville. The hospital in Louisville is not that bad, but the one in Nashville, as my daughter says, is chaotic. So that's the difference between Kentucky and Tennessee. And I do want to say thank you for doing your part as a community member, but we have to always don't go to the grocery at peak times. We must continue to do what is best for our county. Governor Beshear has asked Kentuckians to light buildings green. I drove around the other night, and I noticed a lot of the buildings green. We have done this at the courthouse. If you go by, you'll see it's green. Of course, that is to recognize the victims of this virus. And I just want to close by saying one more time, it is our collective responsibility to respond to this situation and do the very best to stop the spread of this virus. Everyone must do your part. These aggressive actions and everything you are asked to sacrifice will make a difference. We're heading to a critical month against the fight against this virus. I know it feels like it's out of your control, but actually it's more in your control than most crises we have faced, simply because your actions can help reduce the spread of this virus. You individually have more control than ever before on any crisis. Your actions will make a difference in how protected you and your loved ones are. You know, it's us versus the virus. What you do every day matters. So again, I beg you to do what you can for Caldwell County and do what's right for your family and your friends and your neighbors. Thank you for letting me get that message out.
Oh, well, we really appreciate it. And Judge Curling, you know, one of the things that we had, I think sometimes, you know, when the governor says that he suggests something or recommends something or bans something, I think especially with, you know, I can't blame them. All of us would rather be at church on Easter. But, you know, I think there's been some confusion on, you know, what are the rules about church and services and, you know, gathering in the parking lot and that sort of thing.
I can tell you our position as a county, and I've talked to both mayors, and they are in agreement. The one thing that we agree on is you should not have any parking lot services. That is not our recommendation. I've had several churches call and ask what they think we should do, and we can't recommend it. Not after what happened in Hopkins County. I'm not going to sign an executive order pertaining to this. I'm just asking people, do not do anything to put your congregation in jeopardy. So that's our position as a county government. The city of Princeton, the city of Fredonia, is to not have these type of services. If one does it, they're all going to do it, and something's going to go wrong. They're going to get out of the car. It's hard to patrol it. It's too nice of weather. They haven't seen each other in a long time, and it's just not working. That's our position.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, because I, you know, especially with it being Easter, I know a lot of people want to, but I think one of the biggest things, you know, with Jeff's got a little one, I've got teenagers in the house, and I think one of the things that all of us forget as adults is we remember how much we want to go out and do things, or we want to do those things with our kids, but we also need to remember setting an example is a huge part of this right now. We need to set that example for those younger people so that they understand the importance.
I totally agree. And as you, as the head of that church, you should be setting that example. Don't do anything that's going to put your congregation in jeopardy. I know there's going to be some people that are going to think differently, and probably I'll get ridiculed for that. But I've always erred on the side of safety. If every church does this, and let's face it, parking lots are not big enough if you have a large group of people to stay 6 foot apart. That's what the governor recommends, and it's just about impossible. So please, I'm asking you, don't do it, but I'm not going to go sign an executive order to prevent you to do it.
Well, I'm hoping that that's something that's not necessary.
I agree. But I thank you again for letting me talk, and I'm going to hand it off to Jeff. I've got to go somewhere and take care of another business meeting. But I appreciate.
Well, thank you so much. I'll tell you, Larry Curling, you've always been one of my favorite people. I love you to death.
Well, I appreciate that, but I don't know about that. I enjoy listening to you every morning, and especially this radio station. It is so important for this community. It's always gotten information out there they need, and it's just been a solid rock this community for years, and I thank everybody there.
Well, thank you so much. And I'll tell you, Jeff Sims and I will probably just have a conversation about back in the day when you used to be a teacher at Caldwell County.
I miss those days, but they're over with, and all I can do is think about them. But I had a bunch of good kids, and it made a difference.
Well, bless your heart. We sure appreciate your service as a teacher, now as judge executive for Caldwell County. And, of course, Jeff Sims, you've got all kinds of stuff brewing and going. And I heard that there's a lot of new information about scams right now as well. Of course, Jeff Sims is District 4 Magistrate for Caldwell County. And, and let's be honest, I mean, you serve the entirety of Caldwell County because you're always helping in some way or another, whether it's in your district or not. And the scams, are there new ones now popping up already?
Oh, yeah. Well, the big ones that we're seeing are, it's such an unfortunate time for the virus on so many levels. But, there's a lot of work going on with the IRS right now. It's tax filing time. There's been an extension. And, the government will be releasing in the coming weeks the stimulus package checks. We've seen some of that, not locally that we've been notified of, but and all this stuff. Also, the drive-in test clinics. That's the newest one and probably the most concerning. There is no available pop-up. When I put that in quotation marks, you're not going to go by the parking lot at the Butler building and see a pop-up testing clinic, or at Walmart's parking lot. And a lot of these scams are meant to defraud and take advantage of especially our senior population. So we want to definitely get out that message that nobody's going to call you for routing information to your bank for your stimulus check to come. Nobody's going to ask or pop up a testing clinic on anywhere that hadn't been officially released, or a hospital or medical facility type institution. So just use extreme caution during this time, for all the listeners out there. And anything that seems too good to be true or too convenient or that type of thing, just use caution around that and reach out. Reach out to the judge's office, reach out to the mayor's offices, the sheriff. There's several different places to reach out and just see if this is a factual event or a factual place.
I got the call over the weekend. I don't know if you've got any or not there, Jeff, but I got one over the weekend for the at-home kit. Asking for the at-home kit, and it was only $99.95, but you were supposed to be able to get results, I think, within an hour or something. But I mean, it was completely a scam. But you'd be surprised how believable it could sound if I had already heard somebody else. Actually, I think it was you that had told us about it. But had I not, they're pretty convincing.
Yeah, and the sad thing about that is, and the tragic thing is, that is playing on people's fears, and it's a time of high uncertainty and anxiety, and that seems convenient, and again, it's just too good to be true. There are places that are having a hard time getting their medical personnel and first responders tested, so you can imagine that there is no such offering to have an at-home test. These tests are very critical and being rationed. So I do not think that, and you should not think that there's another option other than going through the health department, the hospital, those type things.
Well, and now you've also got it on the other side too, because, from the trash perspective of it, when you guys are going out and picking these, this stuff up and making your routes and trying to go about your daily business, you still got to do it completely different now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the big thing is people have been great so far. I appeared several weeks ago and kind of talked about what the worst case scenario looks like. Just to give an example, there was a company similar to ours in a large city. They had one driver, trash driver, test positive, so they had to quarantine 18 for 2 weeks. So as you can imagine, that is just completely debilitating to those type services. So that is what, in our last 2 weeks and all the things that we put in place about how we pick up trash, so on and so forth, keeping the drivers in the trucks, et cetera, those are all preventative measures to allow us to continue service, because our greatest fear day in and day out, and this is with all services, this doesn't matter if it's trash or water or on and on and on, is that once you have that test and that contact group is exposed, then there's really no choice but to go down the road of quarantining. And that, that can be debilitating for our industries, that can be debilitating for all our services, our police forces, et cetera.
Well, our infrastructure, really.
Yes. So, that is the thing that, underscores what Larry had to say this morning, and the governor and others. I talk to people and they say, this just doesn't worry me. I'm not worried about it. And I'm like, man, I always try to stay on the positive side of things, especially as I've gotten older. But, this is a absolutely critical part of being a citizen of our country, of our county, is to, whether you believe it or not, just do us a favor and stay 6 feet away from your neighbor and don't go out and don't congregate in large groups. By all the shutdowns that we've seen in state parks, areas, businesses, playgrounds, golf courses, on and on and on, a lot of people believe in its seriousness, and a lot of people that are a lot smarter than myself. So we just ask that what Judge Curling outlined, that we are absolutely begging people to observe this social distancing until we can get some clarity or a break, or this is life and death. And it might not be life and death to you because you're a young person, but if you hand that off to somebody 60, 70, 80 years old with an underlying health condition, the chances become very grim for them. So, well,
I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You and I both are the type, and so is Judge Curling. We're the how's your mama and them, and I'm a hugger. I want to talk to people. Yeah. I want to visit with them, but I promise you, let's get through it, and we'll have twice as long to visit with them later. It's hard, and you've got to get into the routine of it. How do you tell little Ellie? What was your secret with her? To try to explain it to her.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, honey, it's just right now it's not possible. And I mean, we were raised that way. John and I were raised to hug and shake hands and for people we care about. And it is still the toughest. I went out to Walmart and C.W. Drennan was working the door, was letting us in, meter people in. And I've shaken his hand for 30 years every time I've seen him and asked how he was. And I find myself just putting my hands in my pockets now. And it's almost the cruelest thing that one of the cruelest things I've been through, because for a person like myself that's social, it is literally taken rewiring. And we're having to do
Sue Mama raised you right. You're good and friendly, see.
with Ellie, we're having to do the same thing because she's the exact same way. So.
Well, and now tell me, when it comes to, I know a lot of people, I'm going to change gears a little bit. There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of cleanup right now. They've got extra time at home. What do they do with the trash if they've got, several bags in the back of their truck that they can't burn? Brent Francis won't let them burn. What do we do with it?
Yeah. Well, the transfer station, again, is currently open. It remains open. That's a great resource for you. And, kind of our plan, our contingency plan is if we do have drivers that are exposed and we have to go on quarantine, that would be the route that we would go down to allow people to bring their trash on their own and deliver it to the transfer station. And that would just be in an emergency situation, where we didn't have the ability to stay open otherwise,
right,
as far as routes. But if they have that trash, we're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3:30. So that is going on. And then for county residents, in the next couple weeks, should be receiving your annual coupons. If you're a WCA customer, Caldwell County provides you with 2 coupons to dump up to 800 pounds for free. So those will be coming in the mail to your attention. It requires you to have the coupons and then to show your identification when you go to the transfer station. And they'll scale you in. You give them your coupon and your ID. You go dump your trash or your refuse that you've built up over time, and then you weigh back out. And if there's a difference in the amount up to 800 pounds, then you pay that difference and you're on your way. So that's something that, the city of Princeton has their spring trash pickup, and this is an effort by the county to offer a similar service. But again, you have to be a current WCA residential customer to take advantage of that. But that letter and those coupons will be going out here shortly.
Oh, we sure appreciate it. I live out in the county. I'll tell you, we appreciate it. We get a little jealous of that, that spring cleanup when you live out in the county.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a valued service. And the big thing for the county is it's a great way for us to help control illegal dumping, which nobody wants to have in the county. And, that's a large cost when we have to go about cleaning up those illegal dumps.
Sure.
And right now, especially, we are hopeful that we can maintain all the revenue that we can for this coronavirus and what that looks like in the future.
Well, bless your heart, Jeff Sims. We, Magistrate Jeff Sims, and of course you had Judge Curling on just a few minutes ago, and we sure do appreciate it, and giving us the updates and hanging in there and staying safe.
We greatly appreciate PKY and Ham Broadcasting for all their support. Larry touched on it. It's one of the foundations of our community, and one of the blessings that I see out of this test is that I've seen more people outside playing old school games and pitching and catching with their kids and drawing chalk on the sidewalk and flying kites and just doing things that reminds me so much of my childhood. So, this weekend we spent a great deal of time outside, Ellie and Amy and I, and it's just the most interesting thing that something as tragic as this virus has forced us as a society to go back to the ways that worked maybe the best ever. So it's certainly a tragic time and a curse in many ways, but I see some great blessings hopefully coming for the future of the American family out of it. So.
Well, I do too, and I just wish you all the best. The courthouse looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Well, the citizens that we're losing every day, they mean the world to their family and the Commonwealth. And, anytime you can show that support and it gets back to even our current county residents that are experiencing, the infection right now, I've been told directly that it meant the world to them to see the courthouse lit up and to see these homes being lit up.
What about the bell?
I'm sorry?
What about the bell?
Yeah, we've got her fired up. So I think Larry's going to start ringing that this week at 9 a.m.
Good. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that.
All right.
That's in just a few minutes, so I better wrap it up so I can get out there and listen to it myself. And we sure do appreciate the heck out of you, and stay safe and hug that young'un and Sue Mama and the gorgeous wife, too.
All right. Thanks so much, Tess.
Thank you.
All right.
Caldwell County officials, that's Mr. Jeff Sims. Of course, he is the magistrate for District 4, but he really and truly serves our county well all over the place at WCA as well. So we want to thank him, and of course our Judge Curling, Larry Curling, on the phone with us this morning as well, Judge Magistrate, so that we can kind of figure out what's going on. Now, if you missed any of it this morning, if you say, I only caught part of it, well, you can catch the whole thing, because we did talk about some pretty important stuff, especially, with Judge Curling there in the beginning. We really had some good, important information to throw out there, and with Jess Sims too. But we a lot of information to cover at one time. So if there's any of it that you kind of need a recap of, it'll be right there on our website, as always, WPKYonline.com, and you can get all of those updates right there. And the other things that I do want to remind you about while we are talking about, government and that sort of thing, and we absolutely appreciate, of course, Mayor Seibert there in Fredonia and Mayor Coda Young here in Princeton as well. They keep us up to date on everything. We don't want to leave out our other magistrates and county officials as well. And we thank all of them. Of course, we're going to have several of them in over the next few days to talk to us, actually over the phone, not in. Because we're social distancing too. How about that? So, one of the things that we do every single day, I think a lot of us do, is we listened to our daily update from Andy Beshear, from our governor. And I'll tell you, they've got the cutest Uncle Andy T-shirts now, which is so neat. And I think everybody's kind of started doing the sit down and listen to Andy chat to our governor. And it's become such a neat thing that I think a lot of people are doing, that there's even T-shirts and everything else on it. So if you're listening to WPKY this afternoon, and you're listening to the governor and the governor's update on WPKY, take a selfie of you and whoever else is sitting around you that's listening to it as well. Because we do, and you know what? If you say, I don't have a radio here, that's okay, because we've got a free app. We can hook you up for absolutely zero. It's free. Have you heard of that? It's called an app, and it's right there on your phone. If I can find it and install it, you can do it the same way. And you download that right on your phone, then you can have it worldwide. Wherever your phone can go, it can go, and we can go. So you never have to be without it. It'll also help you with alerts and that sort of thing. You'll always have the weather at your fingertips, our news, and all of those updates as well. Of course, Audrey Lamb will work on those throughout the day. She works so hard on that and does such a fantastic job updating all of us. And of course, they're right there available on our website at WPKYonline.com, and as well on our app, which is free. And we make sure that we get that. Well, we don't. Audrey Lamb does. How about that? She works on the news all day. We have a huge news department that works on that as well. So I'm just trying to pick on her a little bit this morning. Hey, if you've got something coming up, though, make sure that you email it to us. We do want to know. I know there's a lot of closures. There's a lot of cancellations and that sort of thing. We're putting together a list so this weekend everybody knows kind of what's going on. So make sure that you do send those to us, especially with the Easter upon us. Most of our campgrounds and that sort of thing have shut down. Down at LBL, I know, like Wrangler and that sort of thing has shut down. Even Pennyrile, I believe they said some of the day use trails are open, but the campground is shut down at Pennyrile as well. So, Turkey Bay, a lot of the stuff that you would normally do on a really pretty spring break week, we're not going to be able to do this week. So let's get creative. And take some pictures and share with each other and share with us, because we want you to make sure that you support local while you're having fun this week, and take a little snapshot and include the hashtag support local. Because we've got some wonderful restaurants and some great places here that you can support local. You can still treat yourself and the kids and have a good time this week, and social distance and behave yourself at the same time. So make sure that you do that, will you? Of course, don't get me wrong. Let's see. Audrey Lamb's going to be up here in just a little bit. She's going to update you with the news. Todd's going to update you on sports. We'll have our weather throughout the day as well. Of course, we do have those showers and thunderstorms rolling in on Wednesday, actually Wednesday evening into the night. The more the night goes on Wednesday, the more Our thunderstorms are going to get a little heavier and going to have a little more rain. And it's bringing a cold front with it. Nothing frosty yet, but, highs are only going to hit in the 50s on Thursday because of that. So just be aware of that. Kind of make a mental note that you need to keep your ear tuned, especially close that night, and close to your phone so that you can hear those weather alerts, okay? It is 8:57. Thanks again to Judge Executive Larry Curling and, of course, Magistrate Jeff Sims for being with us this morning. And if you missed any of it, WPKYOnline.com.
Nominate your track and field mom in the YourSportsEdge.com Sports Mom of the Month contest, presented by Joelle's Bakery and Cafe, GNC of Hopkinsville, and Save More Drugs.
Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop for delicious homemade goodness.